UFC Abu Dhabi just recently wrapped up, and I'm going to recap the entire card, start with the first fight of the night, and then I'll work my way up to the main event, which saw an upset and a pretty badass back and forth fight as well. I'm looking forward to discussing everything that went down. So let's go fight number one and then work our way up. Heavyweights went after it. Martin Buday versus Marcus Buchecha. It's one for MMA for weight loss, Fat Camp MMA, zero for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Now, all jokes aside, I'm talking my smack about this fight. Martin Buday was able to deal with Buchecha's grappling threat because of his takedown defense and pure size. He was on the bottom a bit, then was able to, reverse position in his own right. And like at times, Buchecha is like too willing to fall to his back, which is such a problem with, high level BJJ guys that just make this transition. Buday did enough. Little ground and pound. He gave up some moments in the third round. It was close though, because then he kind of finished strong. I felt like at the end of it all, it was a fight that could have went either way. Buchecha actually cracked a little bit on the feet in round two after losing that first round, but Buday's size was a factor. And like most, jiu-jitsu based fighters, Buchecha's actual takedown ability is not great. And then dealing with a mountain of a man in the size of Buday, who's huge, there was also a big struggle. So Buday was able to edge it out 16-2. I mean, he has a record of like an elite heavyweight. Unfortunately, he's really not. He's like a top 25-ish talent, and he takes out the 5-2 Buchecha. He was, a kind of hyped up signing to the UFC. We need heavyweights badly. Buday is probably not running towards the top 10. But he is a legit top 25 heavyweight and he defends that spot. I don't know what direction they go with Martin Buday. I guess you could argue, okay, him versus somebody maybe like Hajiro De Lima, if De Lima's going to make a comeback. Maybe if they move him up the ranks some more. I mean, do you do him versus Mick Parkin, who's coming off a loss? You could argue it. You could argue that it makes sense. I mean, Mick Parkin's biggest win is what? Mo Usman? Martin Buday, I mean, he's got the big win against Arlovsky. Wow, I feel like I'm cracking jokes up here, but no, I'm dead serious. Yeah, that's his big win is Arlovsky, really. I feel like Buday versus Mick Parkin would make sense next. Both strikers, both kind of on the chubbier side of things, and I'd kind of be intrigued by the matchup. Feel as though Buday might have a real chance to win that fight too. Like Buday breaking into the top 15 might end up happening, man. He's good enough for like right on the cusp of top 15 talent. I don't think they give him Volter Walker, who's on an absolute sub tear. And then what? Do we fucking sell another heavyweight prospect? Now, for the likes of Buchecha, I mean, I think you do him versus somebody with like no grappling. Maybe if Junior Tafa wants to move back up to heavyweight, or maybe if you do him versus the, Hamdi Abdullah Wahab, Chris Barnett loser, depends on the timeline of return. Justin Tafa fight could make sense. Pure striker versus pure grappler. Altogether, Martin Buday did enough and got, the victory imposing his will a bit in a competitive fashion, but still the hand raised at the end of it. It was a close fight. I thought he did just barely enough to win. Let's keep going. Stephen Nguyen versus Mohammad Yahya. The record was set for most knockdowns in a UFC fight. Nguyen dropped Yahya 6 times in the fight. I actually was surprised that Jason Herzog didn't step in after like knockdown number 4. Yahya was beaten to shit, man. His eye was swollen up and he was just getting cracked a ton. He would survive the onslaughts, but consistently dropped. There was a big moment in round number 2, though. Yahya ended up rocking Stephen Nguyen after giving up like 4 takedowns in the first round, or excuse me, 4 knockdowns in the first round. 4 takedowns wouldn't have been so bad. And then Nguyen was kind of on wobbly legs for a second, but was able to recover, find his counters. He beat the hell out of Mohammad Yahya. Yahya's got guts, though. He kept coming forward. The guy keeps going down. He keeps getting back up. So definitely, I don't even know if you call it. Would it be a chin? Good recovery and like a willingness to fight. The problem with Yahya is not the dog in him. He's got the dog in him. He's just not really that good. I mean, he's kind of got okay straight punches, but a little bit on the slower side, especially for featherweight. Seems to have a hard weight cut and, getting dropped to left and right, regardless of if you're recovering, is not a good sign. It's a weakness. So ultimately, the ref stopped the fight between rounds. Thank God. He should have stopped it sooner. His eye looked like this. It looked like he had a fucking grapefruit growing out of his face. It was like a nasty hematoma that you're guaranteeing there's a break of the orbital bone. But the UFC's claiming no break of the orbital bone. He's all right. Okay, that's interesting. All right, I thought so, but no. Stephen Nguyen got the first UFC win of his life, and he looked all right doing it. I mean, he's got sharp counter strikes. He's pretty good. I feel like it makes sense how he looked. He maybe even looked better than expected in the amount of knockdowns that he got. Because my God, Yahya was on the ground for a majority of this fight trying to recover. Holy shit! I don't really think Yahya is UFC level. That's the God honest truth. I don't know what you would do with Yahya. I think potentially like sending him the walking papers, unfortunately, would be a sensible outcome. Now, for somebody like Stephen Nguyen, tough to say where the UFC matches him. You know, you could consider him versus, a prospect like Francis Marshall coming off of a controversial loss next, especially with Nguyen not taking too much damage here. You could consider, oh, maybe he would fight somebody like Yi Jia, who's pretty durable, but, 0-1 in the UFC or 0-2 in the UFC. Something along those lines would make sense. Even a Ji Yoon Lee fight for him would make sense. Something like that, I think, would be next for him. Even, you could give him Timmy Kawamba, who's coming off of his first UFC win. That would actually maybe be the most sensible. Timmy Kawamba or Weston Wilson could be the true next fights for Stephen Nguyen after a nice W here. But the Kawamba fight stands out because I think it'd be entertaining. I like that fight. Stephen Nguyen, Timmy Kawamba. That's my pick, actually. That's what I'll say officially. But yeah, solid win. Good performance. Next fight on the card. This fight sucked. I mean, I can, tell you why it sucked, but I could just skip past it. But I'll tell you why it sucked because you're here for the recap, and some of you guys didn't watch the card, and you're relying on my post-fight analysis. Ibo Aslan and Billy Elekana just really didn't do much. I mean, they landed 29 and 35 strikes over a 15-minute fight. Then you think, oh, well, was there a lot of wrestling? No. It was mostly just stand-up and like the tiniest bit of takedown attempts. There's no clinch work. Zero control time on either side. It was just a low output striking fight. Elekana kind of touching with straight shots. Aslan thinking about blitzing but not committing. There was one really good straight left that landed for Elekana, but that was really about it. There was some low kicks by him that kind of touched a bit, or body kicks, I should say. It wasn't really leg kicks. Just kicks with the lower half, a few. The teeps up the center. Aslan ripped some leg kicks. I'm telling you guys, this was one of the worst fights I'd ever seen. Just slow pace. Like what Ibo Aslan was known for is that berserker, that dog, that crazy wild motherfucker. He lost his chaos factor. Yeah, he stopped takedowns, but he didn't do shit on the feet. And Elekana just kind of stuck behind his straights for the whole night and then ends up taking a lopsided decision. And then Aslan, after the fight, is like in shock, thinking that he won. This fight looked fake, man. It looked like this shit could have been rigged, because it was this fight that was expected to end inside of the distance. Aslan doesn't do a lot. He gets lightly outstruck by Elekana. I'm not saying that it actually was a fixed fight. I'm not going to go as far as to say definitely, but if there was a fixing like Aslan to just not put any volume out there, land 29 strikes, my God, like 35 to 29, 64 total strikes landed in the fight on both sides. Total strikes, not just in the total fucking strikes. Yeah. Not what you'd expect for a 3-round fight between two guys that are known as decent strikers, especially Aslan, who's known as a power hitter. It was pretty terrible. So, good win for Elekana, but bad fight. Nobody's asking to watch them fight again. Tabatha Ricci, Amanda Ribas. Competitive first round. Ribas hit a throw. Ricci was in her face a lot. But then round number 2, like Ricci looked like she was starting to find her rhythm. Ricci was starting to find the flow. I got to grab a tissue, guys. I'm still under the weather just a tad. Got to keep this nose clean. I'm not trying to drip on you guys. Be watching live and, hacking up a loogie with me or something like that. Tabatha Ricci landed some gnarly elbows in the clinch. She landed like a couple tomahawk elbows against the cage in the clinch. And Ribas's eye was bothered. She like winced really bad. It was like right on the eye. And then another one, and Ribas quit. She went down. She's like, I'm done. Goes to the ground. Fucking Ricci gets on top, beats the shit out of her. Ground and pound, done. Ribas was broken bad in this fight. Her eye got fucked up. They said she passed out backstage too. So she was dealing with a lot of pain. She also has fought at 125 and she was there for a while. I would envision that future fights for Ribas if she comes back and doesn't retire, which I don't think she will. She's not old, but she does have a lot of miles on the car. I would envision Ribas going back up to 125. I don't know. This weight cut, hearing that she passed out in the back, I get it. There was big shots from, Ricci. I'm not trying to say it was because of the weight cut that Ricci won. No, I picked Ricci to win. I thought she would do more damage. But the fact that she went out like that and then passed out in the back, I don't know, man. Maybe she was dehydrated or something like that, too, on top of getting her shit absolutely fucking pummeled against the cage. Ricci put on a good performance, man. This is a new look Tabatha Ricci. Women's fight that I thought was destined to go to a close decision ends by a violent fucking elbow on the inside and some ground and pound. Tabatha Ricci's a bad chick right now. And I'm excited for more with Tabatha Ricci. I'm looking at Tabatha Ricci and I'm thinking to myself, doesn't it kind of seem like the perfect fight is her and Mackenzie Dern? Both coming off wins over Amanda Ribas, never fought against one another. They fought a lot of other top 15 talent. I'd be interested in watching it. I'd be very down to see Tabatha Ricci versus Mackenzie Dern. I think that would actually be like perfectly match made. Then the winner of that fight would probably be one fight away from a title shot too. So that would be my vote. Now for Ribas, take some time off, probably move back up to 125. I think that would be a sensible outcome for her. I don't know when she's going to want to come back. I don't know if she is at 115. I don't know who they're going to give her. Maybe like Lucindo, if she's able to beat Angela Hill. I don't know, maybe Tisha Pennington, something along those lines. I don't know. But time ladder return is everything. And I don't know. I'm assuming she goes up. We'll see what happens. Good win for Ricci. Next fight, Davey Grant, Damon Blackshear. Big upset here after a really dominant grappling-based first round where Damon Blackshear controlled for the vast majority. Didn't ever have any like near fight-ending submissions, but he was hunting for that rear naked. And he face cranked a bit. At the end of the round, Grant was able to reverse the position as like Blackshear fell off the top side and kind of threatened with an armbar. Grant was able to land kind of like a grazing elbow, more so hit the guard, to be honest. But, started to try and come on with like 15 seconds left in the round and didn't finish in a dominant position. And then that was kind of like where the momentum shifted for the rest of the fight. Davey Grant gave Damon Blackshear a kickboxing lesson. He beat the shit out of him on the feet. He had Blackshear looking gun shy and hesitant, and he was just ripping him with power shots and heavy kicks and backing him up and stopping every takedown. One takedown landed for Blackshear, and that is it. And then Davey Grant was Mr. Hip, stopping it all and just loading up big shots and backing Blackshear up. Had him running from him for a majority of the fight. Really out kickboxed the hell out of him and gave him like a true veteran lesson. Davey Grant is that savage, though. I like Davey Grant a lot. I did not pick him here. I like to pick Davey as a dog. I'm telling you, he would have been a fucking big W against Daniel Willie Cat Santos earlier this year if that fight would have happened, but Santos pulled out. And good for him pulling out because he would have got his ass handed to him. Davey's in an interesting position, though, because Davey Grant right now, he's won 2 fights in a row, and even his loss in 2023 to Daniel Marcos is a bit of a debatable L. I don't know. I don't know the timeline of return, but I kind of love Davey Grant versus Charles Jourdain. That's a cool fight to me. I'd be very interested in the matchup, too. That's a hard fight for Charles Jourdain. He's a good striker, but Davey comes to bang. Jourdain coming down from 45. Could he deal with Davey Grant's savage factor of striking? I like that matchup. I like Davey Grant versus Charles Jourdain more than anything else. You could consider doing like Cody Garbrandt, Davey Grant, but do you want to risk Cody Garbrandt going flat on his back? Because he definitely might with Davey winging shots from his hips and shit like that. For Blackshear, this loss ends his 3-fight winning streak, puts him in a rough spot. It does. It puts him in a weird position. I don't know where you go with Blackshear because he's really, he's a skillful fighter. But I don't know, man. I don't know who they're going to put him up against. I don't know. Maybe it's like Douglas Silva de Andrade if he's not retiring. Somebody like that would maybe be it for the side of Damon Blackshear. But he did lose to that Davey Grant test. Dangerous Davey, always able to pull out a nitty-gritty win in a hard fight. That's his bread and butter of his game, and he does it again. And shit, he's won 4 out of his last 5. So respect to Davey Grant. I like him and Charles Jourdain a lot. I actually think that'd be a cool fight. I hope the UFC books that. We'll see what happens, but either way, big win for Dangerous Davey. Let's keep running. Muslim Salikhov with the biggest upset of the night. He lands a one-punch KO on Carlos Leal. Leal is looking to close the gap and pressure towards the cage and crowd the kicker of Salikhov. Comes in with that lead hand a little low and like loading up for a shot as he dropped that lead hand. And Salikhov just bings him with the perfect overhand right to the fucking nose. Leal goes flat on his face. First round knockout, 42 seconds in, and that's wraps. First head strike, done. This is a massive upset. Leal was looking like the man. Even in his debut, he lost a robbery to Fakhretdinov. He just beat the shit out of Morono. And then Salikhov puts him out in one punch. And Leal is not known for lacking a chin. He's never been finished. Flatlined. After the fight, what does Salikhov do? He calls out Wonder Boy. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. The king of Kung Fu versus the Karate Kid. All right. I mean, the Karate Man, really. But let's do it. They're both in their 40s, both really fun strikers. I think the time is now to match them up against one another. I get it. Wonder Boy's on a losing streak and Salikhov is not. But like Wonder Boy almost got bumped him. I like that fight. I would rather they give Wonder Boy a guy in his 40s too, but a capable guy in his 40s. So I would say Salikhov and Wonder Boy kind of seems like the perfect fight to be made next. And I hope that the UFC considers booking it. Salikhov called for it after, which I thought was a good strat. And I think it makes sense. Yeah, one-shot KO, fight of the night. Not really fight of the night, but performance of the night. He got 50K. So shout out Salikhov with a big win and grew his hair out and shit. He looks young. He looks younger. He says, hey, I'm still getting better at 41. And honestly, looking at this performance, shit, I believe it. Big win. Caught Leal cold and put him out. And Leal was a terrifying force to be reckoned with, man. I don't know where Leal is going from this. I mean, not in the book of expectations, him to get chinned like that. I don't know. Leal versus like a Chidi Njokuani. If Njokuani's not going back up to welterweight, could be the fight. Hard to say. Even Leal versus Ponzinibbio, who's coming off a loss to D-Rod, could make sense for him next. But damn, Salikhov's that savage. Respect to Salikhov, knocking out the guy a decade younger in one shot. Next fight, Bryce Mitchell did the thing. He beat Saeed Nurmagomedov, not without scary moments. Got dropped by a knee in round number one. And the striking of Saeed early looked sharp, but the problem with Saeed has always been the gas. Round number two is competitive. It's back and forth, but Bryce aggressive with pressure and takedown threats and clinch work, and he controls Saeed a bit. Saeed tries the guillotine. Bryce powers through it, which I mentioned. I said Bryce is going to power through his guillotine attempts, and he did. Competitive exchanges on the floor, both guys getting in dominant position. Round number three comes, and Bryce Mitchell just on point, pressuring Saeed Nurmagomedov, gets on top, controls the majority of it, and he takes home a clearly dominant win, finishes the fight with the back control of Saeed Nurmagomedov. And that's a good debut at 135 because Saeed is like a staple of that top 20. He's the true like gatekeeper of the top. That's really what he does. He gatekeeps the top of that weight class. Last fight he fought Vinicius Oliveira. Oliveira looking to burst onto the scene. And then, you see this fight here, Bryce Mitchell, and Bryce Mitchell goes out and beats him. Saeed's like the fight that can get you into the top 15. So for Bryce Mitchell, where does he go next? It's tough, man. If you want to give him a top 15 chance, I'm not opposed. I think him and Montel Jackson is a cool stylistic matchup. Both southpaws, both good grappling, but Jackson definitely more punch power. Maybe Bryce could outmuscle him. See how Bryce gets used to the speed of these bantamweights too. They're a lot faster than the featherweights, and it's a factor because those scrambles to Saeed were a problem. I'm interested in Montel Jackson, Bryce. I think give him a shot into the top 15. I think so. And if it's not Montel Jackson, like there's a Hayani Barsalos fight that I think would be pretty cool with Barsalos beating Cody No Love, Peyton Talbot recently. I like Bryce. I don't think Bryce is going for the title or anything like that, but I think he could put some together at 135 pounds. I think he could break into that top 15 and probably be ranked similar. Oh my God. Similar to how he was at 145 pounds. I think so. I need some damn water, chat. But nonetheless, Bryce Mitchell dug deep, got a win for America, drops a Bible verse at the end, speaking his truth, man. Amen to him. Amen to Bryce Mitchell. Congrats on the hard-fought win. Let's keep running. Next fight, Nikita Krylov and Bogdan Guskov. The main card started off with violence. Also, if you guys are watching and enjoying the recap, hit the likes. And if you're new, subscribe. perfect prediction from me. I told you guys, I thought Bogdan Guskov was going to chin Nikita Krylov, caught him with a deadly right hand, dropped him, and then finishes him off with big ground and pound. Gushkov's fast on the feet. He's quick. He's one of the quicker light heavyweights, and he hits really hard. He's sharp. You can see his striking skills a lot in this fight. And Krylov, coming off the bad knockout loss 3 months ago, I thought it was a big mistake to take this fight against a big hitter like Bogdan, unless, you know, you need that paycheck. And I said, I think Krylov needs a check. I'm not saying he threw the fight. Krylov tried to win, but definitely, like, Krylov is past his best days. This is not prime Krylov anymore. I think Krylov's done. To be 100% real with you, Krylov hasn't won a fight since 2023, had a layoff until April of 2025, 2 years off, came back, quickly knocked out, came back, knocked out in the first round again. That's like signs of a downfall. Now, Bogdan Guskov to go out there and beat his ass like that, breaks into the top 10 of the light heavyweight division, and he's a good top 10 addition because he's got a fun style. He's very well-rounded. I enjoy Bogdan Guskov striking a lot, and I like the takedown defense too. Now, I'm thinking about the upper echelon of the division. I'm thinking about the top caliber guys. Like, what direction do we put him in? Like, does he get the biggest fight possible? Does he get a Jan Blachowicz, who's lost 2 in a row, who had a draw in the fight before against Pereira? Is that direction the one that he goes down? Does he fight a Jamal Hill on a 3-fight losing streak? I think that's a possibility. It depends, right? If the UFC does Blachowicz versus Hill, looking to get one of them a win, or if they're like, no, we're going to throw, you know, somebody who seems like the next guy on the come up in there against Jamal Hill or Blachowicz, especially against Jamal Hill. I think he's live. Him and Blachowicz, that's a hard fight for him. Blachowicz sharp, but it's a cool matchup. Him and Blachowicz really interest me a lot. I'd probably pick that if I had to see one. I get it. It's a bit of a jump up in the ranks and, you know, maybe more than some may feel he deserves, but I like the idea of him looking to break into the real elites now. He's won 4 in a row. He's finishing fights. What else do you want from the guy? Talks good on the mic, nice personality, talks his shit. Bogdan Guskov is the fucking man right now. I really think Bogdan's very good. If he does beat Jan Blachowicz, now he's in the title picture. Like, do you not love Guskov in these high-level fights? Because he's so entertaining. This is what we want as fans. We want a knockout striker with fast hands that comes to kill people. That's what I want. Now, for Nikita Krylov, I mean, I honestly think he's going to fight again for sure, but, like, he could fucking retire, bro. I think Nikita Krylov's past it. Could give him like the loser of Mirzakhanov and Rakic. To be honest, I don't like his chances against either one of those guys right now. Could give him a Mingyang Zhang, Johnny Walker loser, but he already beat Johnny Walker years ago. I don't know if they'd run that one back. I don't think people would be begging to see it again. There's Alonzo Menafield and Krylov, maybe. I got a bad feeling that you're going to see Krylov turn it around before the year's end, and I think he's probably getting knocked out again. Even if it's a matchup a couple of years ago that you would have favored him in, I don't love his chances now. In 2021, he gave Ankalaev his hardest fight. Now, no. Not the same Nikita, man. And, you know, Guskov's a monster, too. It's not me discrediting Guskov. Bless you. To myself. You guys should say it, too. It's not me discrediting Guskov at all. I think Guskov's a fucking beast, but it's just me accepting the reality. Like, I think Krylov's washed. Even though he's young in age, I mean, the dude's got over 40 pro fights. And I've been watching him since his Soa Pelele fight years ago. And then he went, like, you know, and fought outside of the UFC for years. So, good win for Guskov. Nice knockout. Impressive. Almabayev, Ochoa. Good wrestling control. In a competitive fight, Almabayev was able to secure top/dominant position more often than not with the chain wrestling attack coming in handy. Ochoa did take the back of Almabayev late in round 1 after Almabayev had already dominated the round. And the reason that he got taken down, throws that spinning back body kick, and then Ochoa counters it with a takedown and then takes his back. No submission threat or anything like that. Almabayev had still dominated the round. More of the same in the second and third. Ochoa threw a lot of shots from bottom position. He was trying to throw up submission attempts. He was trying to attack from bottom. He was trying to get back up, and he would get back up to his feet, but Almabayev stuck to him like a wet blanket, man. Stayed after it. Consistent. Chain wrestling threat. In-your-face style. Clinch work. Control time. Almabayev did the thing. Looked solid in the striking. Looked solid on the ground. Yeah, he got outstruck in total strikes, but at the end of the day, a lot of Ochoa's offense was as he was getting backed up and controlled against the cage, you know, in the clinch or taken down. And Almabayev, he landed 7 of 16 fucking takedowns, man. So Asu Almabayev did the thing. He looked good. Almabayev looked good. Almabayev put out a nice performance. Almabayev, he went out there, and you know what? I was impressed at the way he neutralized such an exciting prospect. I do think, though, Ochoa has a good future. He's only 24. It was just too soon, man. He had just beat Cody Durden in a back and forth banger, and then they say, hey, let's throw you Almabayev. It's short notice. Take the chance. Ends up taking an L. He's 1-2 in the UFC, but he's one of the best 1-2 UFC fighters, bar none. Now, for Almabayev, personally, I like the rebooking of the Ramazan Temurov fight. I think that would make sense. Looking at, some of the other guys at the top, like Steve Urseg or, Tyron Albazi booked to fight one another. Urseg booked to fight Hyun Sung Park, who's looking to break into the top. Raw Dog Royval coming off the loss. Joshua Van fighting for the belt. He called out Van after the fight, did Almabayev. But I think the more sensible fight would be the Ramazan Temurov rebooking. That would be probably my pick for what's next for him. If not, I mean, you could say him versus Tagir Ulanbekov could be pretty interesting, right? Him and Tagir fought all the way back in 2017. Almabayev got finished. You could run that one back. That's another one with, Ulanbekov's on a 4-fight win streak, but always leaves a little bit to be desired, to be fair. Almabayev coming off a W, though. I don't know. I'll say option 1, Temurov rebooking. Option 2, somebody like a Tagir Ulanbekov would be sensible options. Now, for Ochoa, he's so fun to watch. It's just, we got to push him back a bit. Just got a really, really nice performance against Cody Durden, but now loses here. I think wait it out a little bit. You got Mitch Raposo, Azat Maxim. Could fight the winner of that fight. You got Rafael Estevam, Felipe Bunez. Could end up fighting the winner of that fight. I think that would actually make a lot of sense. If they want to just give him a fun one, shit, give him Matt Schnell. We got another highlight reel for Ochoa coming. But, Schnell lost to Durden and whatnot, so I'm less confident the UFC would consider that. But definitely, Ochoa was good. There's a lot of flyweights. There's a lot of matchups to potentially be made. I don't know the direction the UFC is going to go with Ochoa coming off a loss here. But definitely taking 2 fights back-to-back. And I feel like without taking a lot of damage, we'll see him before the end of the year. It's just he's so young. It's you don't want to give him too high level of matchups and give him, losses to accumulate and kill the confidence. Kind of got to pump the brakes just a tad. Nonetheless, good win, Almabayev. Next up, Shara Bullet, Marc-Andre Barriault. This was the fight of the night. This was an awesome fight. Shara Bullet, round number 1, looked quite sharp against Marc-Andre Barriault, but Barriault tough and bringing pressure and getting in his face and, trying to make it a dirty fight, trying to work the clinch and trying to control a bit. Got a takedown. Didn't really do anything with it. Got a takedown. Staying after Shara, but Shara landing the cleaner shots, attacking the legs nicely. He's precise. Round number 2, Shara lands a perfect elbow to the top of the head. Blood starting to leak down Barriault's face. Shara's looking smooth on the feet, and Shara enters the matrix. Then Marc-Andre Barriault catches him with a power overhand right to the nose that crushes his nose and sends it to the side of his face. Marc-Andre Barriault then comes on strong. It looked like he was going to get knocked out, and then he's coming on strong, throwing heat, backing Shara up. Then towards the end of the round, though, Shara, what he showed is an ability to recover and fight smart while hurt. Then Shara started finding his range. Then Shara started landing big shots, and he was forcing Marc-Andre Barriault backwards. He was forcing Marc-Andre Barriault into retreat, and Barriault was a little bit rocked towards the end of round number 2. It's yeah, he landed the big shot, but he was hurt at the beginning, and he was hurt at the end of the round. Yes, he did immense damage to Shara's nose, but I still thought Shara did enough to win that round, and it was impressive to see him overcome an obstacle like that. I mean, he got hit hard. Some guys might have went down from that breaker of the nose. My God. Respect. Respect to the side of Shara Bullet's chin. Round 3, Barriault tried a bit, but you could see Shara was just levels ahead. He was too fast, too sharp, was beating him in the clinch, beating him in the striking from range, touching him with shots, cutting him with elbows, backing him up, landing leg kicks, had Barriault uncomfortable. At the end of the fight, ends up dropping him late. I believe it was a knee in the clinch. I think it was a knee that put him down late. And then Barriault, he's trying to recover, and then Shara's all after him towards the end of the fight. Shara Bullet dominated. It was Shara Bullet 3-0. Another breakout performance for Shara Bullet. I mean, he's definitely getting better. Say what you want about Shara, because he does eat a lot of shit, because I feel people don't think he's the next champ, which I don't necessarily do either. But Shara, oh my God, Shara's good, man. His striking is really fun to watch. Okay, he lost to the kickboxing maestro of Michael Page. Okay, it's Michael Venom Page. Now he just beat Marc-Andre Barriault, who's, not a top caliber guy, but good. Marc-Andre Barriault's pretty good. The direction that you go with Shara, Him and Cesar Almeida intrigues me as it's a battle of high-level kickboxers again. Not the Michael Venom Page, just insane kickboxing style, but battle of guys with smooth kickboxing skills. I'm intrigued by that fight. I'd be very interested in watching those two clash. I like the matchup. I like Shara to fight somebody like that. I think that would make sense. Cesar Almeida's coming off a nice win against Abdul Razak Al Hassan, beat Poteria in the fight before. Could be a fight to make unless the UFC wants to push Shara a little bit closer to the top. Then you got an easy pick. Bruno Ferreira, Shara fucking Bullet. Are you telling me you would not be hype as shit to see that fight? That's like guaranteed fireworks. You got bruiser, brawler, power hitter, everything Barriault aspires to be, but really, Ferreira is that beast. He's called the Hulk for a fucking reason. And Shara Bullet, the slick kickboxing matrix level maestro. That's it. I think Hulk versus Pirate, perfect matchups. Magomedov, Ferreira next. But if not, like I said, there are, different options. Somebody like, Cesar Almeida, who's got a little less hype. But I don't know, man. I feel like Bruno, the Hulk, Ferreira, and Shara Bullet sells, man. That's a fucking badass fight. And they could do it in Abu Dhabi on the pay-per-view. They could do it at 321. I'm so down for that. I hope the UFC does it because we need more fights on that card. I'm sure Shara's, fighting again in the Middle East because he can't fight stateside with the one eye. Yeah, let's do him versus the likes of Bruno Ferreira. I'm down for that. I think that'd be cool because I'm sure, Ferreira wants to get one back in Abu Dhabi after he lost to Abus Magomedov. So, yeah, count me in. Both guys coming off wins, for Shar, this W here, and then for Ferreira coming off the 2-fight win streak after the loss to Abus. Count me in. Let's keep moving up. Next fight, co-main event, Petr Yan. He showed levels against Marcus McGhee. McGhee had a good first round. It was pretty competitive. It was back and forth. I thought that even Yan could have got a 30-27. I don't think that's crazy here. McGhee was close in stats, but like Yan was landing the bigger shots. Even in round 2, McGhee landed a couple good punches, but Yan was just landing the sharper, cleaner shots. And like Marcus McGhee was stunned by Yan in round 2. He cut his eye. He backed him up a bit. Round 3, more of the same. Precise kickboxing, accurate to the target, smooth on the feet. Just looking like a top guy, looking like the guy that should be fighting for the world title. And he pitched, it was 29-28, but I felt like he pitched the shutout. I don't know. Maybe I'm reaching saying that he got the first round. I saw a lot of people thought McGhee could have got round 1. So I don't know. I thought competitive round, but definitely could have been a 30-27. Not like McGhee had him, dominated in a round or anything like that. Yan looked top caliber, and as the fight wore on, Yan just kept looking better. Yan's a 5-round specialist. He does a 3-round fight here against a hard-hitting prospect who starts fast, and I thought he showed him levels. I think Yan looked better than he ever looked in round number 1. Made reads quick on Marcus McGhee. I really thought he won all 3 rounds. Petr Yan looked sick. And then he called out the winner of Merab and Sandhagen. Yeah, you have to give it to him. He's on a 3-fight win streak right now. He's a new face for the top. What's next then? If it's not Petr Yan versus the winner of Merab versus... Why does Tapology have Umar Nurmagomedov as the number 1 in the rankings at 135? Tapology sometimes is just fucking tarded on that. That's stupid. But Merab Sandhagen, winner, fights Petr Yan. Easy as that. The fight's October 4th. I'm sure Yan's willing to wait a little bit. I'm sure Yan's like, yeah, I'll wait for my title fight. I know how Yan's mind works. He wants the biggest fights, and I think he deserves to wait it out a bit. He's on a 3-fight win streak. The winner of Sandhagen Merab, sign me up for it. He's got a win over Sandhagen. He's got a loss to Merab. I'm sure he'd want to avenge it. I don't know if he beats Merab in the rematch, but his dangerous striking is always a threat, and his grappling defense is live, and even hit that ninja-style throw on Marcus McGhee that he was doing to Aljo back in the day. Yan's primed. Yan looks good, man. He looks as good as ever, maybe better than ever. I want to see him versus Merab Sandhagen winner, which I think it's going to be Merab. I'd watch him and Merab rematch. I like that rematch. It's not at least like a rematch that just happened. They fought back in 2023. Yan earned his stake now, winning 3 in a row. It's not like O'Malley just, coming off of a loss and fights him again with no fights in the interim. So, yeah, I like Yan in that spot. I think he deserves it. Even his loss to O'Malley in 2022, I predicted O'Malley. Looking back at it, controversial decision. So he could be 4 out of his last 5 W's with the only loss to Merab. For Marcus McGhee, there's a lot of fun fights left. I like Marcus McGhee. He's a good fighter. Somebody, along the lines of like a Cheeto Vera would make sense for Marcus McGhee after this one. or even somebody like a Rob Font, depending on who Font fights next. Maybe he fights Vinicius Oliveira and loses, then that fight would make more sense. I definitely think at the least, though, Marcus McGhee demands respect and showed that he is a top 15 talent. He's just not a top 3 talent, not a top 4 talent. That's really what I think it came down to. He's top 10, I would say, even. And that's why I like the idea of him fighting a Marlon Vera. I don't know the timelines because Vera hasn't fought since 2024, but that could be a sensible matchup to make. Davis and Figueiredo, he's going to be out for a while because of the injury, but maybe Figgy on a comeback versus Marcus McGhee. That's a cool fight, too. Yeah, right now, this UFC bantamweight division is red hot. I think you go Song Yadong, Mario Batista, and like an up-and-coming contender type fight. I know, Yadong's fought everybody and lost to Jan, but I think him and Mario Batista could be a fight that pushes the other more so into the top 5. Unless they go O'Malley versus Song Yadong, which would be cool as fuck. I hope that they do. We'll see. We'll see. Vinicius Oliveira on the come up. Bantamweight's red hot, but I'll tell you this. We got a number 1 contender, and his name is Petr Yan. Let's get to the main event. If you guys are watching and enjoying, make sure you hit the likes. If you're new, subscribe. A lot was on the line with this main event, not only for the fighters, but for me. My savage dog lock was Reinier de Ridder. My lock for this week was Reinier. And you guys know, I was on a 5-week winning streak, all plus money locks, either 2-leg parlays or just savage underdog straight. And then last week, we hit the L. We hit the L with the 2-leg parlay. Oliveira, and then Holland ends up selling bad. That was rough. That was sad. Back on track, though. 6 out of the last 7 on point as Reinier de Ridder wins a back-and-forth war with Robert Whittaker. But I am going to break it down round by round. Don't worry. Round number 1. De Ridder chasing a bit, looking a tad bit uncomfortable on his feet in moments, failing on takedowns. Whittaker able to land decent shots. And even though de Ridder was firing back, I thought Whittaker had done enough to take that first round. Had de Ridder looking a little bit clunky on the feet and uncomfortable after round 1. Round number 2, Reinier de Ridder looked good. Round number 2 was the round for de Ridder, pressuring Whittaker backwards, touching him up, taking him down, controlling a bit on the ground. And Reinier de Ridder had started to find his range in the striking. Like, it turned into a competitive striking affair. Even though it looks clunky and awkward, it's effective. De Ridder actually had a cut early in the fight, but I believe it was from a head clash in their first exchange in the first round. But after round 2, which was competitive, but a Reinier de Ridder round, the control, the grappling, the clinch work, the de Ridder pressure won it. It was 1-1. Round number 3, Reinier de Ridder starts finding range. He's cracking Whittaker. He's got Whittaker uncomfortable, and you can see de Ridder's like, yeah, I'm getting him out of there. De Ridder blitzes Whittaker, and Whittaker looked like he was in trouble. This fight looked like it could end come round number 3. De Ridder likes to come with that knee to the body, hands down, boom, Whittaker with the wide overhand shot, right hand to the fucking chin. De Ridder drops, and it looks like he might be out. I'm like, oh my God, that's it. Round number 3 was looking so good, coming on strong. Momentum was on his side, and then Whittaker is looking to put him away, throwing big ground and pound shots. It looks like it's going to end, but De Ridder somehow survives it. Gets back up to his feet, has a little success striking because Whittaker went for it. And that gasses you a bit when that heart rate jumps. You're like, oh, I'm going for it. De Ridder gets on top, gets him down, controls, beats him up a bit on the ground. De Ridder finishes round number 3 pretty well. I thought it was a round that the knockdown could have gave it to Whittaker, but you could say, oh, but De Ridder finished so strong and started strong. But there was a brutal near fight ending sequence. I do think it makes sense looking at it. You'd give round number 3 to Whittaker. Round number 4 was close, but De Ridder clinch work, De Ridder peppering strikes. Yes, Whittaker landed a couple, but De Ridder also touched them back, had Whittaker's mouth bleeding in round number 4. It was a competitive 4th round, but I did think De Ridder had done enough, backing Whittaker up, controlling him a bit, winning some of the striking exchanges, of course, losing some too against a great striker like Whittaker, of course. So round number 4, the momentum seemed to shift back to De Ridder. I thought probably 2-2 going into round number 5, and the winner of that round wins the fight. Majority of round number 5, it's De Ridder pressuring Whittaker backwards with straights, maybe looking a little clunky on the feet at times, but still landing shots. Whittaker, couple on the fire back, but still De Ridder backing him up, touching him up in the clinch. Yes, Whittaker fighting off. Holy shit, he stopped 13 takedowns in the fight, but still was getting pressure backward in the clinch. De Ridder couldn't get him down, but also Whittaker couldn't avoid the clinch. And De Ridder's peppering punches, and he has a couple striking moments. He's, pushing Whittaker back, and it's not a good visual. Reinier de Ridder controls at the end of the fight, too, as Whittaker's trying to come on a little bit late, ends up getting the clinch again, controls towards the end, touches up Whittaker. There was one good punch. I believe it was a straight by Whittaker in round number 5, but I thought De Ridder, with his control, with his pressuring clinch work, and his peppering shots, had done enough to take the fight. And sure enough, the judges agreed, 2 out of the 3 judges. Split decision, Reinier De Ridder. It was interesting. Dean Thomas was talking about optics, saying that the body language in round 4 of De Ridder not looking good as he's missing wide shots is a bad look, and that could sway the judges. My argument towards that, though, is there was no effective counter shot by Robert Whittaker. So, yes, the optics may not look good. Like, what the fuck is De Ridder doing, throwing this shot and, like, coming off balance, you know? But on the flip side of it, Whittaker never counted it. So why would you reward bad optics only when the more effective moments, even if it was only slightly, were favoring De Ridder? So that's why I felt De Ridder was the clear winner of this fight. I thought he had done enough to secure the 2nd, 4th, and 5th round. Yes, Whittaker in round number 1 and 3 with the big knockdown in the 3rd and good strikes in round number 1. And it was competitive throughout the fight. But round number 5, De Ridder made his claim for the top. He was able to back Whittaker up. He controlled the pace of the fight at the end, and he won the fight at the end with strong clinch work and peppering shots to the body and head. The body strikes were on point. He kept attacking the body. 26 body shots to 4. There's a factor in that. Big knees up the center, punches to the body, little clinch work. It was good shit. Significant strikes, only 1 more for De Ridder. Whittaker 66, De Ridder 67. But look at the total strikes, 192. Those were a lot of peppering shots. Still, they're landing. Still, they're touching. Still, they exist. The win for Reinier De Ridder now pushes him to the top of the middleweight division. Burst onto the scene. Came to the UFC as the former dual champ in 1 championship. Now, riding a very impressive 4-fight UFC win streak, 5-fight win streak overall. And he just beat the former world champion and one of the top contenders, top 5, UFC middleweights, and he lays his claim for, being in the title picture. De Ridder's good, man. It looks weird at times, but he's good. And he just beat Robert Whittaker. We're in a weird spot because Nasruddin Imavov is in a number 1 contender fight against Kyle Barriault, okay? Then we got Khamzat obviously fighting DDP. I don't think that this win, though impressive that he got the W, but I don't think this is the title-earning win for De Ridder. I feel like he needs one more. Sean Strickland is suspended indefinitely because of the antics at that Tough Enough event where he got in the cage and he started swinging shots at that dude that was talking shit to him and was on the opposite team after, after Strickland was cornering his boy and then his boy had lost. And then him and Chris Curtis got in there. And, of course, Curtis, he didn't get in trouble because Strickland was the one throwing punches. Curtis just got in his face. I don't know how long he's going to be suspended for. I don't know when De Ridder's timeline of return is. Is it crazy if there's a world where Reinier De Ridder fights against Israel Adesanya, and Adesanya, who's lost 3 fights in a row, has lost 4 out of his last 5. I don't think that's a crazy fight to make. Like, I think it kind of makes sense. The last time Adesanya fought Rob Whittaker, it was also a pretty competitive fight. It was back and forth. I kind of like that matchup. It'll be interesting to see how does De Ridder deal with a striker who now exceeds his reach and matches him eye to eye in height, right? He had a big advantage over Whittaker in the length in this fight, which I do think was a difference maker. Won't have that against Adesanya. Adesanya, of course, no momentum, losing 3 straight, but his striking's still sharp as they come, but he tends to struggle this high level of grappling. With this high level of a guy that can get you to the mat, take you to dominant position, I think Reinier De Ridder versus Israel Adesanya is really the fight to make. If you base it on the rankings, who's available when, that would probably be it. Of course, there was talks of Strickland Adesanya, and maybe that happens. And, maybe the side of De Ridder has to wait, and maybe he fights, the loser of Khamzat and Duplessis. I wouldn't count on that. Maybe he fights the loser of Imavov Barriault. I wouldn't count on that. Maybe he fights the winner of Fluffy Hernandez Delidze. I don't count on that. I think it's Reinier De Ridder versus Adesanya. And if it's not Adesanya, I would have said maybe it's Strickland. But Strickland being suspended, I feel like it might set up this Izzy fight. I think that's what De Ridder's going to get. I do. I have a feeling that's the direction they're going down. So Reinier De Ridder versus Israel Adesanya is what I will say should be next after this one. Now, for the side of Robert Whittaker, he's a legend of the game. I still like the idea of him fighting Sean Strickland, regardless of this outcome here, but don't know if that's a possibility. If it is, I like that fight. I do. I mean, you look at Strickland's recent losses, both to Duplessis, a guy who had also beaten Whittaker, and his win against Costa, who also Robert Whittaker beaten. I like the idea of them fighting because they've never fought before. I don't know. I don't know with Whittaker. I mean, you could argue that he'd have to fight more of a prospect fight, maybe Fluffy Hernandez or Roman Dolidze. That could also be it. But I think his name carries weight. And I think a Strickland Whittaker fight is a fight that fans have been wanting to see for a long time. And regardless of this result here, I don't think there's any less fan intrigue. It's a polar opposite matchup with, Strickland known for the teep kicks and boxing, whereas De Ridder's the grappling ace. So I'll say we go Whittaker, Strickland, De Ridder versus Adesanya, but we'll see what the UFC decides. That was UFC Fight Night Abu Dhabi, and I swept the main card with predictions from the featured prelim on up to the main card on point. De Ridder bringing the thunder, and I also bless you guys with the live parlay. I said Guskov, De Ridder as underdogs, the over in the Almabayev fight in Petr Yan. 4-leg parlay on the live show I dropped before the main card. It was, I believe, plus 1187. I know Savages in chat told me they tailed. I'm sorry that I'm not remembering your name at the moment. Remind me on the next live stream who it was, because I want to give you your due diligent shout out for playing it. I think it was Michael NY. So shout out my boy Michael NY. I'm 90% sure it was him. I do want to go through the picks though. So swept the main card. Underdog lock, De Ridder, 6 out of the last 7, back on top. Yan, perfect money prediction. Shara Bullet, perfect money prediction. Almabayev, perfect money prediction. Guskov, real perfect money prediction. It was fucking awesome. Mitchell, perfect prediction. I guess technically speaking, method of victory, Shara Bullet decision. I say KO or decision, but near perfect. Counted the same, right? So swept the main card, hit with Bryce Mitchell. Obviously, I had Leal and he got fucking killed. I had Blackshear, he got crushed. Davey ran like a savage. And I like Davey. I don't know why I didn't pick him. I guess it's just because Blackshear was supposed to be able to get him down or at least strike with him. Then he got picked apart. Ricci, Ribas. I have Ricci. Underdog check. Elekana, Aslan. I slightly picked Aslan. I was thinking maybe he'd look better than ever, but no, he fucking more gun shy than ever. But his takedown defense was good. Doesn't make sense. Is what it is. Perfect prediction there. Nguyen over Yahya. KO decision. Yes, of course, Nguyen should win. And I thought jiu-jitsu would carry against Buday, but shout out to the people who backed Buday. You guys got it. So I went 8 wins, 4 losses on the card with the feature prelim on up main card sweep. I think that's pretty good. And all of the underdogs that I picked hit. So 3 out of 3 on my underdog predictions. If you guys would tell in those, I'm feeling very happy about it. Now, some of the parlays fell to shit, but it is what it is. I did hit the doggy style parlay around the plus 500 mark, a little bit above it actually, near plus 600 with Guskov and De Ridder. So shout out to those that tailed the juicy plus money. And of course, the parlay I had talked about with the main card on stream came through. So I hope you guys cashed well. Locks are back on track, and I'm feeling good getting another win streak going in 6 out of the last 7. Not as good as 7-7, 7-0, but pretty damn good. 6 out of the last 7. I like that. I do. And shout out to Ricci for getting the finish. I thought this fight would the ladies would go over, right? No, but Ricci puts her out. Badass performance. I would say overall, pretty damn good card. I enjoyed it. Was definitely hype on Guskov's win. I thought that Shara Bullet looked slick, even though it was a decision. It was good. Yan looked vintage. And De Ridder pulling through in a hard-fought decision against Whittaker. It was clunky at times. It was dirty at times. But he's got that dog in him. And he's a player in the upper echelon. I don't know if he's beating the champ. I don't know if he's beating the #1 contender. But I do think he's live against Adesanya. So we'll see what the UFC books. Hope you guys enjoyed the recap show. Smash the like button. If you're new, subscribe it up. Thank you to everybody supporting over the week. I'm dropping full card predictions tomorrow for this UFC Vegas card, Tyra versus Albazi. So keep it locked in with that. Turn the post notifications on because you don't want to miss a thing. You guys know, daily content on the damn channel. W in the comments if you got nothing to say, but definitely let me know what you think of the card. I thought it was a good card. I had fun watching it, and I had a good time getting up and streaming, a little earlier than normal. The afternoon card for the people. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all in the next one. Much love. Peace out.